Hey everybody, I am your host, Brendan. Welcome to Swing Batter. As your host, I am joined by the one, the only Father. How are you today, sir?
I am super good.
Super good is super great. And the other host, the guy in New York. How you doing, Todd?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking.
So much good baseball this winter in the playoffs with the Mets and the Yankees. I'm really excited in this upcoming postseason. And next,
I think you are a blasphemer, and I hate your face.
That's for the people who don't know when we recorded this episode. It could be 2024, 2022, 2021.
Shut up.
Anyways, we all know 2023 has been a great year for Mets baseball. But what do we have for you tonight? We have the list from the Lemieuxs. Who doesn't like a list? What are you doing? I want everyone to look at your free agent signings from 2023, and you, please put down in the comments who you thought was the best signing and who was the worst signing, because we have our top two, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. The top two best signings that we thought were amazing, and the top two worst signings this offseason that we thought were no good. The rules that we created for us, because it's our list, no injuries were accounted for when we looked at the list. So meaning the player had to play over half of the year for us to even consider or to even be nominated. That's the list rules. That's what we have. We have the best. I will start with my top two. I'm actually just going to give you my number two on my list, and then we'll go around to the other number twos of my favorite, is JD Martinez of the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is a 1-year, $10 million deal that JD Martinez rakes. He always hits. He's a great designated hitter. He has batted this season .273, a little bit below his season average, which was a .280. I'm sorry, his career average is a .287, so it's a little bit below that. However, he has 31 home runs compared to his 33 home runs on average, 98 RBIs compared to 107, and 59 runs, because clearly he's not running like he used to. This is a $10 million deal. And for those that want to go, what are we talking, $10 million, JD Martinez, not that big of a deal. When you look at those stats and compare them against the illustrious Joey Gallo signing of this year, where the Twins got him and he's batting .177, JD Martinez is a fantastic pickup. He is a great role player. He wanted to play for a winner. The Dodgers have won their division. They're in the playoffs. We will get to see JD Martinez play with that team in the playoffs to see if they can bring a World Series to the Dodgers. That is my number two pick of the best offseason signing. What a great member to add to the Dodgers.
Hey, I got to say, props to you on that one, because you actually called that when that signing took place. You loved that at the beginning of the year. You said it was fantastic. And you said, listen, one of the things there with the removal of the shift that JD Martinez was going to start to rake, he did. Listen, his numbers are right within average of where they should be, but you're not seeing the drop-off for a guy that's 35 years old. So I think that, I agree with you. There's a great call there. And for $10 million, but that's a major steal compared to, Dad, who was the guy that you thought was a great signing for way more? I don't think his number from Houston.
Mr. Abreu for the Astros.
Yeah, I don't think he was quite at the level of JD Martinez.
Isn't he hitting 360?
What? Abreu.
I got to get a different source of news.
It depends on when we're recording this. He was hitting 360 at one point in a recording. Again, JD Martinez was clearly a top two pick for me. Not a hard one for me with the Dodgers. And 1 year, $10 million is it's a free signing if he gets hurt. But he wanted to be on a winner. He's on a winner. Dad, any thoughts on that one?
Oh, I loved it when they signed. Especially, he got signed right after Joey. What's his name? Gallo got $11 million, and they got him for $10. And I said, "Whoa,
what a deal!" It helps to be a winning club. I think the Dodgers got the winning discount because again, he wanted to sign with the team that was winning. So that's my number two. So I'm going to go over to Todd, and I'm going to ask you, which is your number two of your best signings in 2023?
My number two was the guy I picked for the sleeper MVP this year. I loved this signing, especially for 1 year with a guy who had something to prove and was in a huge market team the year before, moved to still a big market team, but not as big, really kind of a middle of America just middle America guy, and it turns out he's kind of reinvented himself. Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger, as of this recording, he's sitting on a WAR about 4.1, which is one of the tops of all of the free agent signings of 2023. He's hitting above 300. He's actually been on a couple games where he hasn't hit in a while, and his average has dropped. He's gotten as high as the 330s. He's not hitting for power as much. As you look at the advanced stats, his hard hit ball percentage is actually lower than it has been, but he's hitting for average. He's started to be consistent ever since that April 17th game when he went 5 for 5. The guy just has consistently put up numbers. He's got 20 stolen bases. He's on track for, he'll probably end up with 100 RBIs. He's got 95 right now. Could he get 9 runs to end up with 100 runs, 100 RBIs, 20 runs? Could he get 4 more home runs? Because now you're talking about a 30-20 guy with 100 RBIs. With an on-base percentage above 350. He's not Acuna. He's not like the MVP like I thought he could be, but he put in an awesome year. He's got 1 year, and now he's going to be a free agent again. Whatever payday this guy has coming is totally worth it. I think it's a great feel-good story. Part of me really hopes the Cubs can keep him because I think he's really found a home there.
I love that signing with the Cubs. I think he's a clear top 2. There's a lot of really good players that played this year, so I think Bellinger's a fantastic pick.
I thought Bellinger was a good pick. I wasn't as optimistic as you two were, but I certainly thought it was a good pickup.
You were worried with the Dodgers letting him go that he had lost all of his hope, and he had those couple injuries. But this has been a great year for him, his family, his fans, and to your point, Todd. I think he has found a nice home there with the Cubs because the Cubs will love him. They will just love him, especially if they can get in the playoffs here in the late push. So moving to you, Dad, number 2. Who's your number 2 best signing this offseason?
Well, this was a hard one for me because the guy I picked I don't like. I didn't like it when he was signed, but I looked at it and I said, I don't know if it's great, but it's not bad. Taijuan Walker.
You do not like this guy.
No, he pitched with the Mets last year, and when I found out that the Phillies were going to give him $15.5 million, I said, you're wasting your money. Well, you got to take things in perspective. He's 15-5, okay? Now, his earned run average is typical Walker, 435, nothing exciting. But he has pitched 165 innings, because my memory is the guy always gets hurt. So I would say he certainly earned his money, and although I wouldn't want him to get any awards, he was surprisingly better than I thought, so I thought I'd give him some recognition as number 2 best.
I think it's a little bit of a stretch for a top 2 list. I think he pitched okay. I think he's an okay starter, but comparison to what we expected of him, he certainly has held up for his end of the bargain for his first year.
Yep.
So your requirement for him to be a good signing was that he pitched innings.
Well, yeah. I just didn't think he'd pitch much, and I didn't think he'd win. He's 15-5. Now, maybe that's because the Phillies got a great offense. But
this is my argument with pitching stats, period, is what's the point of the pitcher winning? I think I read something where Nolan Ryan had 100 games where if you took those 100 games, his ERA was sub 2.0, and he lost all of those games. If his team had scored 1 or 2 more runs, which he is not in control of, he adds 100 wins and becomes 3rd all time in wins. So, when I see wins for a pitcher, there's too much out of his control there for me.
There's some truth to that. However, there's 15 starts that he had that we know the Phillies won, and there's probably more, that he left and they came back and won. So that if you only have 5 starters, those are good. Those are good positives as far as the team goes.
What was his deal? Was it $15 million or $15.5?
I didn't write down the years.
$18 million. It's $72 million total.
He's not an ace. I don't think it's a number 2. I could debate it. Please leave a comment. Let us know if you like Walker as a top 2. But Dad, I understand it because you didn't like him at all, and he doesn't smell as bad after you cook the meat.
Yeah.
Did he do what the Phillies expected him to do for $18 million?
Oh, yeah.
I would say yes. He did what they expected for this year. But again, the signing is for a long time, and this could be his only good one. But yeah.
To me, and my thing was you want somebody that exceeded what you thought. Did he pitch as an $18 million pitcher?
Hey, your top 2 and my top 2, I agree with that definition. However, Father Time here can do what Father Time wants. And Walker impressed him because he thought Walker would be probably giving him a 7-2 and only pitching 80 innings this year. So
yeah,
he was expecting to put him on his top 2 worst probably.
Yeah, for sure.
So
he
for,
was a
for Dad, he makes it. That's why he was in the top 2 best.
Right, yeah, the expectations weren't high. I get it.
So my number 1 is the best, the biggest signing in Tampa Bay Rays offseason history, which is still shocking to me at a 3-year, $40 million. So everyone just kind of not shake the earth on that. But Zach Eflin came over from the Phillies. He was what we compared with. We just didn't understand the signing. However, the stats are just pretty wild. I know he's pitching at home. He had twins. God bless him. His ERA fell from a 4.27 career ERA of 4.27 to a 3.44 this year. His WHIP, which I think is an absolute, this is life-changing if you're a pitcher, 1.24 career. He's down to a 1.02. That's an amazing increase. His strikeouts went up a little bit, 182 strikeouts this year. Comparison to his career, which is about 165. He finished 15-8, to your point, wins, losses. He's so far 15-8, but he's going to play in the playoffs with the Rays. He wanted to play for the Rays. He wanted to sign by the Rays. He was not drafted by them, and he was upset by that. His family's down there. He was very excited about coming in the offseason. Whatever Tampa does with their pitchers, hats off to them, because this guy is not the same pitcher. A 4.27, 1.24 career down to a 3.44, 1.02 jumped off the page to me, showed that he is a legitimate, not a number 3, not a kind of a starter. He's a legitimate top 2 for them. That's a really good starter, and he's been consistent all year long.
So here's my question about the Rays with this. I love. Listen, this is one where there's 2 where I agree with you, right? Because this guy, we all made fun of it. We all thought the Rays were going to be a joke. Something happened with the Rays. Look at this. This is a stat, right? So I'm looking at this stat here. He's logged, as of this recording, 172 innings. 172 and 2/3 innings. He has 24 walks.
That's wild.
24 walks.
That's the difference in his WHIP.
182 strikeouts. So is whatever happened in Tampa, where they came out strong, was the general sense that the coaching staff was like, we are throwing strikes. We're not putting people on base. And I don't have the stats in front of me as a team, but where do they rank as far as walks allowed as a pitching staff compared to other teams? I'd love to get that number up and kind of just see kind of the team stats there on that.
Yeah, I think it's also about the management style. So if the Tampa Bay Rays brought him in and said, listen, we can put up with this and we can put up with that and we can allow this, but if you change this in your game, this is going to make you a much better pitcher. And it clearly has. So hats off to Tampa Bay and the staff. Hats off to Zach for being at home, pitching at home. I think it's all wonderful. That's my number 1. Todd, who's your number 1? Yeah, you're good. Dad's going to get some service here. What do you got? You got some pizza? It's fantastic.
What'd you get there? Yeah,
this is nothing but healthy spinach, mushrooms.
So it's not a pizza. It's kind of a pizza.
It's wonderful.
Have a bite, enjoy it, rate it for us. We'll love to hear the pizza rating. Todd, you're number 1 on the year of 2023.
My number 1, it's a homer, and I'm going to advocate for this guy. I think this guy should get Cy Young votes, because I think that what this guy did this year was a lot under the radar. And if you pay attention to what Kodai Senga did in his rookie year in the major leagues, I know he's coming in as a veteran. I know he's coming in as somebody who's just pitched already, but I looked at his game log and he only had 6, or was it 7 games that I saw where he allowed more than 5 hits. Now, the Mets notoriously at the beginning of the season were not having their starters go deep in games. But this guy has shown consistency throughout the year, will probably actually add more. You okay there?
I'm fine. I just these
beat a child.
These cups they're heavy.
The BadderSports drinkware is banging around.
The pizza's knocking him out.
This guy's going to pick up more innings next year. He's probably going to be instrumental in the Mets being able to sign Yamamoto in the offseason. He may be instrumental in the Mets being able to take a run at Shohei Ohtani. I don't want that, but that is what it is. We'll get into that later. But I thought at the beginning of the year, I wanted Kodai Senga actually more than I wanted the Mets to sign Verlander or even Jacob deGrom. I loved this signing. I think he's fantastic. I think he's going to have a great career, and he's not old. Like, he's not a guy where you're going to be sitting there saying, hey, this guy's going to be around. He's going to be around for a while. He's 30 years old. He's got at least another 5 years in the league. I loved the signing. I think he's great.
There should be a scroll while you're talking, because you haven't given me any of his stats other than he had these couple games. He only allowed.
What do you mean a couple games?
No.
All the games he pitched.
What is his ERA? What's his WHIP? What do we got?
His current ERA is sub 3. It's 2.96.
Okay, now we're talking.
So
what's
let's
his
talk.
WHIP?
Okay,
I don't need to get into this. I'm not
WHIP is a
debating you.
1.22. 1.22.
A 1.22 WHIP. Okay,
right.
He's not my number one. He wouldn't even be in my top 2. He's on a terrible team, a terrible organization, and he's 30. So therefore, he should be traded to the Braves. They'll use him properly. That's my take.
What are they going to be like Strider? So we'll have a guy who's going to be up for the Cy Young because he struck out a bunch of people, but his ERA is almost 5.
I will bet this entire podcast.
With mustache and his quads? Who cares? I don't care about his quads and his mustache. The Ghost Forkball rules. He's got 194 strikeouts as of the writing of this in 161 innings pitched. He's got a sub 3 ERA, and he's the only joy I have in my life. He's the only joy. He's the only one I watch pitching. Him and maybe Quintana, and let me enjoy this. Why do you have to make me miserable on this?
Top 2. That's your top 2. People can leave comments.
That's my top 1 best signing. It's the best signing.
Your 2 and your 1 should be switched, and your 2 should have fallen off the table. Anyways, congratulations. I'm glad you're happy. I'm glad you got a Met in the top 2. I guarantee you probably don't have a Met in your bottom 2. Shocking development there. Dad, your top 1.
He had 6 games where he allowed 2 or less hits.
Congratulations. He will never get a Cy Young. Dad, your top 2. Your top 1. Your top 1. Who's your top 1?
I am people. On this debate, I am on Todd, because I have to tell you, I had Senga in my top 2, but I noticed Todd had already picked him. But I thought he had a great year. But anyway, my number 1.
There you go.
If that made Todd happy, my number 1's going to make Todd very sad.
Hold on. Todd is now in the passenger ride of the car, about to get kicked out of the passenger seat while Dad is driving. Who you got, Dad, as number 1?
Number 1 is a fellow named Chris Bassett. He was on the Mets.
Ooh, I do remember.
So was Walker.
Well, it's true. Walker, I admit, is a weak pick. He did better than I expected.
He ate pizza, folks, and he finally admitted the truth. The food got to him, and he realized his pick was bad. Okay, number 1. Let's hear some of these stats. Because so far, Zach's the best.
I don't have as many as I should, but Chris Bassett for $19 million on the Blue Jays. He's won 15 games so far. His ERA is 3.74. I thought this was a great accomplishment. He's already pitched 192 innings. We know how important innings being eaten by good starters means for a healthy bullpen. So he's been incredibly valuable in all of those areas, and I made him my number 1. Again, I was restricted because you guys had already made picks, so I liked Senga, but I liked Chris Bassett for my number 1 signing. I thought it was an okay signing, and again, he exceeded what I thought he would do.
That's fair. Todd, do you have some stats for us on Mr. Chris?
I'll tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
the Mets would have been a lot better with the starters like Walker and Bassett eating up innings than they would have been with Cookie Carrasco, who couldn't get out of the first inning with less than 14 earned runs, and whoever else they decided to pull up from the minor leagues on a given day in order to pitch because Verlander's pinky toe hurt or Max Scherzer's back was whacked out. So I don't disagree. Like, I think the Mets, when the Mets let these two guys go, I wasn't heartbroken. I wasn't thinking, it's all going to be over. I certainly didn't think we were going to be losing more than 82 games because Chris Bassett and Walker weren't there to eat up 200 innings. But here we are. We are.
He's got a 3.74 ERA and a 1.19 WHIP.
He doesn't walk people a lot.
No, again, so Zach's the best pick. I was the last one to do the picks. That's okay. I got number one, the best. He's on the Rays, one of the best teams in baseball. Those are our top signings. Please, I'm sure we missed some. I'm sure some homers are like, whoa, what about these guys? Whoa, not so fast.
And to tell the truth, all of us thought Zach was a horrible signing. And with all the injuries the Rays have had in their starting pitches,
yes,
this guy saved their season.
Zach, we all agree. Zach exceeded and went above and beyond expectation. So that is our top signings. Please feel free to comment. Please feel free to let us know what your thoughts are on the top picks, top signings of 2023. And guess what? The best part about baseball season, we're about to end it, and we're about to get to 2024 signings.
I still want to know which team had the least number of walks as a pitching staff. Can we get that?
That'll be stay tuned for next time, boys and girls. I'm sure someone in the comments will be like, "These guys know nothing about baseball. How do they not know which team has the least amount of walks?"
Well, off the top of their head, nobody.
I'm sure someone would say. I mean, the Rays is a good guess. Rays are a good guess. The Orioles are a good guess.
Just Eflin alone. It's crazy. That number's crazy.
So that's our top picks, and we're gonna call this episode on the top picks. The next one that we're gonna go dive into is the worst picks, our top two worst. But for the top two best, if you guys have somebody on your team, the Mets signed quite a few players. I mean, Nimmo didn't make it. Either did Trey Turner, though. So our argument will cease to live another day. We'll see if they end up on the worst two signings in our minds. I am your host, Brendan. I want to thank you for your time. Todd, your future Cy Young, I look forward to that one day. I'm sure you'll be at the game when they give him the presentation because it's not going to happen. Dad, thank you for your list. I appreciate the average or exceeding average expectations. That's all we have for tonight, folks. I am your host, Brendan. Thanks for tuning in for Swing Batter.
Batter on.
Good night.